Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. It's interesting that none of the employers came. Nobody that's an employer of undocumented folks came to testify either for or against this bill. And you can't have it both ways. And I appreciate Representative Raymond's questions, because the real question this bill raises is, if we got a problem, what do we do about it? And when it's not a problem, we ought to move on. And I just think that it's time for us to recognize that undocumented folks here do all of the things that these witnesses said they do, but we ought not to be complaining about undocumented folks when they're benefiting us.
Okay.
And I'll close.
Mr. Guerin has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dutton, I'm going to use my own business as an example. We require all the federal paperwork, and we use E-Verify.
Right.
But in my experience, E-Verify does have some problems, and there's no affirmative defense in here, or that I read, for an employer that, that has all the proper paperwork and uses E-Verify, but then it comes back that the person that's working for you is illegal, and that does happen. We try to be very careful at my restaurant, but there is no affirmative defense in here for that, and it seems like a third-degree felony's pretty strong if you're trying to do all the right things and you get caught in an E-Verify trap.
Well, the bill says knowingly, Chairman Gehring, and knowingly, if you used E-Verify and there was a problem with E-Verify, then you would not have knowingly hired an undocumented person.
I guess what I'm asking is, can we tighten the language up just a little bit, because sometimes you can get an aggressive DA that can overlook the word knowingly, and then you end up having to hire an attorney like yourself to get you out of it. Now, I'd be happy to hire you.
Well, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, I think we could do that, Mr. Chairman, just to make sure that, but I think the standard, the highest standard we have in mens rea in the criminal law is the knowing standard. And that's pretty high standard, because the prosecutor would have to prove that you knowingly hired a undocumented immigrant, and using E-Verify, using some other method to verify that they were here legally, would simply not fit the test of knowingly. But I agree, we can add affirmative defenses in it, so that if you felt comfortable with that as a defense to hiring an undocumented immigrant, I would certainly agree to do that. But I think the real solution is not so much in terms of what we do to employers, but for us to recognize what we're doing to undocumented immigrants.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
Mr.
Chairman.
Anchia.
Yeah, just a comment. Thank you, Chairman Dutton, for bringing this bill. I see what you're doing here, right? Like, you're pointing out the hypocrisy. And not only are employers not here to testify it, but among the loudest voices who always want to attack immigrants, who always want to talk about invasion, who always want to demonize people who come here and work and create, as one of the other witnesses said, that Texas miracle that we've seen. Because we always want to talk about taxes, and we always want to talk about a low regulatory environment, but what we never talk about in this state is our proximity to Mexico, right, which is our #1 trading partner, the fact that we're in the center of North America, and that the fact that we have a high-skilled workforce who comes to this state Despite the lack of a way to do it in a safe, legal, and transparent way, and that makes Texas the state it is, makes us the 8th largest economy in the world. So I get what you're doing here, and you're exposing the hypocrisy of the people who should be in these seats, having a genuine debate about this, but who won't, because your bill only focuses on employer sanctions and doesn't demonize the immigrants. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you.
All right. Mr. Raymond.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, so you heard my comments. Do you believe that it would be a better solution if we had the expansion of the worker visa programs to meet the workforce needs and demands?
Absolutely. I think that would take all the headlines out of attacking immigrants on the one side.
Yeah, so I really feel like I just feel like we've got to push that. I understand what you're doing here, and again, we've talked about this before. I can still recall years ago, Chairman Anchia offering an amendment on the floor that was basically what your bill does now. I remember that, and I voted for it back then.
Right.
But that's not the real answer in my view.
No,
right?
I agree with you. I don't think that it's, the answer is, but it should start us down the road of getting to the correct response to the undocumented issue. And I think that's where hopefully we can go.
Well, I regret that I just didn't think to do a simple resolution, but we should have done a simple resolution to Congress telling them to expand the worker visa program to match, what our needs are, and to do it the way you do right now with the current visas that are given. You offer jobs to Americans, and when they don't take them, then you go to the pool of immigrants, or people that are willing to come over. And I should have done that resolution. I didn't do it. But come next time, I will, if Congress hasn't already passed that law. But that's where we need to go. I mean, what you're doing here, were this to pass and become law, it would just be crazy,
Right.
But I see the point you're trying to make.
Thank you. Members, other questions of Mr. Dutton?
Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Chairman.
And you
for hearing-
close?
I close. Thank you for hearing this little bitty bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dutton. If there's no objection, House Bill 2351 be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 2351 is left pending.